Great, thanks, Dave. Hi, everybody. I'm probably going to edge a little bit into our Q&A time, but you'll see me zip through some slides. Lisa's going to help us stay on track here. And you may see some slides that I don't have time to explain, but I wanted to expose you to sort of the five key pieces of EOS. And I apologize, I won't be able to go into enough depth, but suffice to say, a large part of my work is just explaining this to folks, either business owners or business leaders like yourself. And I'm happy to talk to you offline, and David will have our contact information at the end of this. So EOS is a management and leadership framework. So I'm here today to explain some of that to you in the context of these sort of simple bullets. What is it? What is the model framework? What are the 6 success drivers that I think are universal that we all want to get to in running a growing company? And let me just say that there's 2 kinds of growth. There's external growth of revenue, customers, et cetera. There's internal growth of capacity, quality, peace of mind, being calm, all working together. So you've got internal growth, you got external growth, and we go through phases of both. So anyway, just keep that in mind when you use the word growth. There's a couple different meanings to it. So first off, EOS is a system. I'll give you a little bit of background to go behind the slide, but I just want to define it as 4 things. It's a management leadership system that uses a set of simple, proven management tools that are organized in a methodology, so a way to use the tools. And those tools and methods are governed by a recurring schedule of meetings. So this is sort of like the drumbeat or the pulse that keeps the system moving. The Entrepreneurial Operating System, or EOS, was created and authored by Gino Wickman. And the book Traction is the one that most people have heard of. It was published, the black and orange one was published in 2007. Then there's a couple other books flanking it here that are part of a group of 5 total books, Traction and 4 others, that are available and have sold over 1 million books since 2007. So this is a bit of a phenomenon. And you might hear a little testimonial a little later when we get in the Q&A, and from one of your members that's using it. 200,000 strong businesses, by our reckoning, are using EOS tools in their business. And when I say business, I mean any human endeavor that has goals and objectives. You have a vision, you have a mission. That could be a nonprofit. That could be anybody can leverage what's in here. So I want to encourage you to think, when I use the word business, just substitute organization. A little bit about me. I'm dedicated to EOS coaching, and I've got a 40-year plus career of work, mainly in the computer industry and then in coaching business owners. And I've zeroed in on EOS coaching as my calling. I work with business owners and their leadership team. So that's my work. And happy to work with any of you that fall in that kind of category, even boards of directors. I've conducted over 120 full-day sessions, so I've got a lot of experience running this. And what I bring is, and what I'm sharing with you today is for everybody. You don't have to hire me. You can get the book from Amazon or just email me and I'll send you a 10-page cliff notes that I made of it. But it's basically taking and creating this nice flower-looking or pieces of pizza pie, whatever visual comes to your mind here, but it all points to the middle. Your business or your entity can get better by focusing on these 4 things. That's the premise of the EOS model, is that we strengthen each of these 6 areas in specific ways over a period of time, say a couple of years, and then get into an operating phase. And as Dave said, it's a good growth management system. I think it's a great way to characterize EOS. The growth can be a lot of revenue, a little bit of revenue. The growth can be a lot of profit increase, a little bit of profit increase. It's all about what you want, the goals you have. So how do you get to those goals using any kind of system? Well, first off, you got to have a shared vision. If we're not all on the same page as to where we're going and how we're going to get there, our organization's going to have some heartburn. We need the right people on the right bus in a great team, right? So right people in a great team is super obvious. We all know this. It's like, well, great. How do you get there, Doug? Stay tuned. There's more on that. Hitting the right numbers. We all love metrics. We all love numbers. But like any numbers, specific numbers, certain quantities, who owns them, what goals, what period of time, got to be specific about that. Dave was highlighting some of that a few minutes ago. Our clients and our customers want consistent execution. Everybody in the aerospace industry is, of course, dead set on quality, and consistent execution is what leads to quality. Solving issues, we're in an imperfect world with imperfect people, so getting good at solving issues is another really important success driver. And then getting the right stuff done. We can't get everything done, so we got to decide what's the right stuff for now and get it done. Our author took a little saying from Albert Einstein, if I'm not mistaken, turned it around and said, vision without traction is hallucination. So the balance of the two, the right vision, the right traction, gets you to where you want to go. So the tools that we use to achieve those 6 drivers and strengthen that sunflower or pizza pie vision is a 1-page strategic plan called the Vision Traction Organizer, an accountability chart, which is an org chart on steroids, a rocks list and plan, which is a 90-day pulse plan, a weekly meeting pulse fitting within the 90-day and 1-year calendar, and last but not least, a scorecard of the right numbers so that we know what we're trying to hit. So this is where we could go off for a 3-hour workshop and dive in on this, but we're not. So I'm going to like zoom through this in a couple of minutes so that you guys get some visuals and it's recorded. And then your job's going to be to bug me for more detail. So here you go. First vision. How do we establish the shared vision? Well, we got to get everybody on the same page. So we literally create a 1-page. And this 1-page, think of taking this one side of 1 page and amping it up to 4 feet by 8 feet. That's what Dave's done with the strategy storyboard. So this is like the 1-page, 8.5 by 11 scaled down version of it. We cover 5 key things on the front page. We cover 3 key things on the back side of the page. One side's vision, one side's traction. Vision means longer term, up through 10 years. And the other side is 1 year, 90 days, and the ongoing issue list. So just to give you an idea of some of the sections, core values, very important. We go through a discovery process, define them, get down to core focus. Why are we here? What are we doing? Which means what are we not doing? 10-year target, that's a BHAG. Those of you who are Jim Collins fans, big, hairy, audacious goal. Where are we going to be in 10 years? Could be 20 years. Doesn't matter. What do you want out of that business? What does your board of directors want out of the business? Again, I'm sorry, I apologize for screaming through this, but I just want to give you a flavor. You're like in a smorgasbord here. You get a little samples of everything. Marketing strategy, this is top down. Like, what's the big picture of our go-to-market strategy? What's our ideal client look like? What's our uniqueness statement, our 3 uniques that together form our differentiation statement? Do we have a proven process for serving our customers and clients? And do we need to make a guarantee to take risk away from our clients or customers and move the risk back to us? So again, a very important consideration. Another thing is our 3-year picture. What's it going to look like 3 years from now? This is like a compass that draws us out there into the future. Got some more detail than the 10-year target. Then we flip the page to traction and we're into hyper detail. Now we're down to what's the 1-year plan and what are the goals for the year. So remember the overarching goals of shared vision and hitting the right numbers and all that stuff. We got to drive those 6 things to get to these specifics. So specifically, what do we want for 2021? This 1-page sheet, 1 sheet of paper, 2 sides that I'm talking about is a great tool for you to leverage in the next couple of months to build your plan for 2021. You can do it on your own. I can help you a little bit. It doesn't matter. This stuff's designed for at least 4 levels of implementation I'll highlight on later. They're designed for do-it-yourself. As always the case, though, sometimes a guide is a good thing. Rocks is our terminology for 90 days. I'm going to explain that in a little more detail. It basically means what are the big things that we need to get done within this 1-year plan. If we were to focus in on each goal, maybe each quarter, we would take 1/4 of the goals and we would make rocks, which are advancement projects using Stephen Covey's terminology, things that we need to manage our time because they're quiet. They're quadrant 2 activities. And then last but not least, what are the big issues looming over us? If we do the SWOT analysis, what are the weaknesses and threats that are hanging over our head? What are all the cool new ideas that could distract us and send us down a rabbit hole? Put them on an issue list, get them out of our head. So when we answer these 8 questions of what's our vision and what's our traction, we then have the opportunity to get everybody on board. It's all on 1 piece of paper. That's my encouragement to you, is we keep it simple. We put it out there for people to understand. And then, of course, we need to have the right kind of people. So what kind of problems do we run into in the real world? We have the wrong, your right person in the wrong seat or the wrong person on the bus in the right seat. So how do we fix that? Well, we have to figure out first that this is true. The tool that we use in EOS is a thing we call the people analyzer, where we put our core values up there. We put our people, we rate them, and we say, gee, we did great with Joanne. She's really one of us. But how about that Martin Gilbert? He's got a lot of minus signs. Why did we hire him? You know, he's not a bad guy. He'd probably fit on somebody else's bus really easily, but he's on the wrong bus. So we need to establish a bar and decide that anybody below that bar is really a misfit for us. And that's simply on core values alone. That's right person. How do we figure out what's right seat? Well, we need to define the seats. So in our world, we have a whole model we call the accountability chart, which is an org chart defined by function. So think of these functions, not the people. We're not putting everybody in a box. We're creating all the boxes then and seeing how many people we need to fill all the boxes. So for marketing and sales, we need leadership, management, and accountability. We need somebody to own marketing, somebody to hit sales. They need to do a little personal selling, and they need to do some account management. So this would define a seat. And one of the owners might have to do this part-time. We're not saying it's a full-time job, but the person that's in the seat needs to get it. They need to get that, like with their DNA. They really understand it. They want it. Like, we're not just forcing them or cajoling them to take the seat. And most importantly, they have capacity to do it. They have the time, they have the intelligence, they have the skill set to get the work done. So if you're a center on our new Kraken hockey team and you're playing in the center position on ice, you need to win faceoffs, create scoring chances, score goals, back check and defend, and minimize turnover. Those are your 5 roles and responsibilities. And if you can't do those, if you don't want to do those, if you don't get it, then you can't fill this seat. So that's a really simple explanation. And when you map it all out, it looks like this. You've got all these boxes that describe the different functions, and think of it more like a functional chart than an organization chart. Because if I'm in here, I might fill 3 top boxes and I just have to time slice between them. But at least we know what we're doing in the company. Like Dave said before, we got to have a place for everything, have it organized, think through it. And that's what the accountability chart structures allows you to do, and ultimately get the right people in the right seats. The last real clarifying piece of the 6 is this data element, which is a scorecard. So a lot of times we track numbers, but we wait till the end of the month or the end of the quarter, and it's too late, and we're always looking backward. So think about things that look forward, like how many sales calls, how many sales meetings, how many proposals. I challenge teams to think about leading indicators, not just what happened already in the past. And we track them week by week based on who owns them and what a goal level ought to be. So that allows you to figure out, are we tracking the right numbers and are we hitting the right numbers? And then you lay those numbers in by departments, by functions. It becomes an overlay on the accountability chart. That's what this graphic is telling you, that the numbers are not isolated. They're always related to the accountability chart, the function, the flow through the functions, and measurables all the way down to the individual frontline worker. And when you get the right people on the bus in the right seats with the right, hitting the right numbers, all with a shared vision, you get this clarity that all of a sudden what comes up is the ugly issues, things we don't agree on. And things we don't agree on can be negative things, they can be positive things. So how do we work on that? We IDS them, we identify, we discuss them, and we solve them. We don't just talk. We actually go through a structured and teach teams a productive, structured method to solve these things and get down to some action items. So I can encourage you that, yes, it is possible to get better here. No, you don't have to have death by meeting. Meetings can actually be productive. I'm going to get you excited about a meeting in a minute. But the IDSing is the key part of that. It's a really crucial part to getting down to solving issues that are vexing you or new opportunities that come along. So the IDS tool is the way to do that. Wish I could spend more time on that because that's an important one. Process, wow. You know, a lot of you are in manufacturing or supporting manufacturing, so you love the idea of process and process control. A lot of times we zoom down to the low level too soon. Our encouragement to our clients is start at a high level, document a handful of core processes in all these key areas, usually 6, 7, or 8 key areas of the company or the organization, and start from the top down and make it, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. Make it really simple, okay? We talk, here's how we bring people on board. Here's how we do sales and marketing. 1-page bulletized, 2-page bulletized, put them all in a 3-ring binder, make them easy, make them accessible. And then later work from the bottom up with detailed desktop procedures. At least if we get our arms around them from the top down, we know where we are. And we can put a followed by all checklist together, because the key thing of process is having people follow it. So we find that it's easier to start at the top and work down rather than try to do all the get lost in the details and move up. Train them, measure them, lead management accountability, and then update the checklist, update the processes. So get them documented, get them followed by all. That leads to traction, which is basically saying, how do we keep all this running? I mean, how does it really work? A recurring meeting schedule is what keeps people going. None of us can remember to pull the strategic plan out and blow the dust off of it and look at it. It just doesn't happen. I've been there. I was there for decades. Somewhere around July, we'd pull the 3-ring binder out and say, oh my God, we forgot to read the strategic plan, which we did back in December in an offsite at some nice weekend, right? So here we have the 90-day world, quarterly repetitive offsite planning meetings. Again, run them yourself, hire me to be your facilitator, doesn't matter. I can teach other people how to do this, but it's a quarterly rhythm and it's an annual retreat. And then that turns into your rock plan. So the whole idea is to have key goals for every quarter. And then every week we check our pulse. We check in every week on all those things we've talked about so far. The same day, same time, start on time, end on time, have the same agenda, and get accountability on rocks, to-dos, how we doing on everything, any issues, and take an hour to solve issues every week. So here's the agenda on that, just to give you a quick snapshot of it. It's basically all about having a time to check all these things every week. Accountability, check in, solving issues for an hour every week of the year. And trust me, as a leadership team and a management team and on down, you'll get the right stuff done. So that's the essence of traction, these 6 areas all focus energy into the middle of the entity, whether it's a PNAA as a nonprofit or CyberStreams as a IT service provider, doesn't matter. We're going to focus energy in the middle of your business. The goal is to get 80% strong. Once you're above 80% strong, we have an assessment. We realize, man, you're cooking with gas. Then talk offline about the assessment. How can you implement EOS? You can do it yourself alone. Get the $14 book from Amazon, read it, give me a call, have a few minutes to talk about that. I send you my Cliff Notes. You take off, you download these 5 tools from the internet, away you go. How's that do-it-yourself work? Not always great. Sometimes it's good to have a support group. So we have a group coaching that's once a month to help keep you going. How about some group coaching and a little bit of private coaching? Okay, that's an option. Well, how about, can I just hire you, Doug, or somebody like you to come in, facilitate and like guide me through this? Yes, that's the top level. That's sort of in the good, better, best. This is the order of events. So happy to talk to you about any of those. Here's how we lay it out. You talk about it, the leadership team gets on board with it. There's 3 onboarding workshops, either you do them or I do them. Then you go through that quarterly loop with the annual offsite. And you just keep doing this forever and ever and ever. As Dave said, keep going through that growth curve that's up and to the right. Here's and this would be something I could easily send to anybody that wanted it, but sort of a resource list, EOSworldwide.com, the downloadable stuff. The software I recommend is 90.io to run your EOS practice and tools on. Traction Group is the group coaching. And basically, my advice to you guys, just like David implied before, is if you're going to work on your business, find a proven framework, use it. In this case, it's a leadership management system. Use an implementation option that fits your time, your budget, your appetite, and then get after what you want from the business or the organization. You know, go about achieving your mission by leveraging these things in a way that you didn't know to do before. So we still have a little time for Q&A. Lisa, I've zoomed a little bit there, so hopefully that helped.
That was great, Doug.
All right, I'm going to get out of share mode. Yep, happy to talk to any of you. Some of you got a little coaching from David Henderson in the chat. So Dave, why don't you say hi to everybody and tell them a little bit about how you guys leverage EOS. You might answer there's one or
Thank
two
you, Doug.
questions in there you might want to cover.
You know, my business partner and I are really super intentional. We don't relate to our business as a family member. It's not our baby, it's a product. If you've ever read the E-Myth, you know, that was a really defining book for us in how to go about starting and running a business. And you know, we incorporated in 2016 with $0 in revenue, and we'll finish out this year with 2 million. I mean, we're on the fast track. And I was at an IT conference. We spent a lot of time. We have a growth mindset. We're out there learning all the time. And John C. Maxwell said, every leader needs a mentor, a peer group, and an operating system. And when he said, "Oh, operating system," I started asking people. I got folks I know are super successful, mega millionaires, $30 million a year business, and go, "Do you have an operating system?" And yeah, EOS. EOS. I did a lot of this asking around in my community, and every single time I hit with somebody I knew that was successful in driving, they were on EOS. So, you know, there's Rockefeller habits. There's other things you can do. It made sense for me to, you know, pick something up that was, popular among my peers, and just sort of driving around trying to figure out, how do I get started? Where do I go with this thing? You know, when's the right time? And I reached out. Who's our local guy? Doug came to our office with me and our leaders, did this 90-minute meeting. I wept twice and Eric wept once. I think, Doug, it's the first time anybody cried during your 90-minute meeting.
Yeah, I'm happy to say I made you guys cry. I'm super proud of it.
Well, my team will tell you that I cry about a lot of things, so it's not
in a
that
good way,
special.
David. In a good
but
way.
yeah, usually when I'm proud. But it really cemented me in on how important it was to get this going and what was possible. And so we hired Doug.
Okay.
We signed up for a software called 90 to manage it, and we are super committed to it. We have our L10 meetings, we have our quarterly pulses, we do all that stuff that keeps us. I know you're trying to stop me, Dave, but just give me one more second. I say, if you aren't running an operating system in your business today, you should be. And if it's not EOS, something, because it really keeps you focused on track, setting the goals, driving to the goals, getting the work done. So.
All right. Yeah, thank you. That's great. It's a great testimonial. Elizabeth,
by the way, let me just comment on something from the chat. Any of those 5 tools that you talked about, I have in a PDF that I can easily email to you guys. So if you see my email there, I'm going to put it in the chat anyway. Again, just you're not bugging me by asking. It's okay. Happy to send them to you.
Okay, Elizabeth, you kind of followed this format.
Yes. Hi, Elizabeth. Good to see you.
You want to talk a little bit about the experience?
Hi there. Good to see you as well. Yeah, we implemented EOS about a year ago, and it was going really well. And I'd finished the whole book, and staff were very engaged because we're so small. We were just 7 staff at the time. We were meeting every other week rather than once a week. But then COVID hit, and we've had 2 staff that are gone voluntarily, and then we have 4 staff that are on shared work. So they don't have the hours for us to be doing the meetings. And things are starting to get better. We had a lot of clients who were tourism related, so it was the pandemic has been a big hit for our clients, but it's coming around the corner, and it was helpful. Thank you, David, for your suggestions on how to get restarted. That makes a lot of sense to me. I do highly recommend it, and it's been interesting. We have about 30 clients, and 3 of them are also doing EOS. They found it on their own. And so it's been wonderful to compare notes. And when I was starting to share documents with them, like our process diagram, they were like, "Oh, I recognize that. That's from EOS." So it is starting to be well known. I'm glad that that David found other people that were using it too, to be encouraging and supportive. So Doug, you're the one that originally gave me the book. You got me started on it,
Hey,
and
Elizabeth.
I'm really looking forward to when we can get back to it, because it has, even for a very small business, been very helpful.
Well, I encourage you,
Okay.
these things can be done virtual. So that's what David Henderson answered for Elizabeth in the chat, is that we have a lot of teams that are distributed around the world or country, or they're COVID separated, and they're running their EOS meetings in with a virtual agenda on Zoom or on Teams, Microsoft Teams. Works great.
Okay. I thought I'd address the chat questions.
Please, Dave.
Some of them I just typed in backward, back to them. And then Dan Robertson, good old friend of mine, talked about that fact that I identified the culture as a fundamental component of the organization. How does culture get defined, and how is it maintained and or improved upon over time? And I've been staying away from that, because it's kind of the question of, is culture actively worked on? And I think there is, but I'm not very knowledgeable about that. There are organizations like OD people, organizational development people, that are a little more adept at working on culture and how to define culture than I am. As you notice, I just kind of moved right by it, because it's not really, that's not my area of expertise.
Dave,
So
wouldn't it be, it's fair to say though, when we develop these things in teams, it helps clarify some culture elements, doesn't it?
It does help. It's the old question of, do you build or engineer culture, or is culture a result of all the other activity? And I think it's both, to a point. And I
would tend to agree.
I don't know how else to describe it. Is, I'm saying that every organization should describe it the best they can, as far as leadership is concerned.
Well, thanks, Dave, and thanks, Doug, for taking an attempt on that. I knew it was going to be kind of a roundhouse question, but thanks for your comments.
Happy to give it a shot.
We're getting to the 1 o'clock hour. Does anyone have any other questions? You can take yourself off mute and ask it. No, going once, going twice. All right. So
Hey, Lisa. I have my software tool that I manage EOS with open. Would anybody be interested in just a quick tour of our vision traction organizer for EOS?
Bonus time.
yeah,
Yes, please.
go for it.
Fire it up,
Okay.
David.
Are you able to share? There we
Yeah.
go. Okay.
Are you seeing a vision traction organizer here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is an app called 90. As soon as we engaged with Doug, we signed up for 90, and that's what we use for managing everything EOS. So this is our vision board here: core values, core focus, 3-year picture, measurables, target market, small and medium manufacturers between 200 employees, our uniques, our guarantee, all that kind of stuff. We review these quarterly in the quarterly pulse. Here's a 1-year plan, our rocks we're working on, long-term issues, that sort of stuff, SWOT. So that's all planning tools that set out that vision traction part of the 8 components that Doug covered earlier. And then we've got scorecards, rocks, to-dos, issues, and meetings. We just did our L10 meeting today, 90 minutes, highly structured. But this tool makes sure we stay on track, runs a timer, that kind of stuff. It's pretty slick. I could probably spend a couple of hours walking through everything that's here, but really powerful tool. We just started a second business called Layer 1. So I've got a whole nother set of all of that for the second business as well, all in there. Different people assigned to different groups, that sort of stuff. So anyway, quick tour.
During your meetings, are you updating in real time, or are you just referencing this document?
Oh yeah, it's very active in real time. When you do the meeting, and I'm not going to start one because that would mess up the system, but it literally has a timer. You start with a segue. Good news, in your personal life, good news in the business, something you're frustrated with in the business. You get through that, you got 7 minutes, you're done, right? You set that time up front. Then you go over rocks and headlines, and you know, kind of go over where am I at with the various activities we're going. Then you spend the lion's share on that IDS. I'll tell you, if something happens in our business, I'll get a phone call, Matt, I got this thing, yeah, did you already talk to 3 different people about this and already invested 2 hours? It's an issue, right? Put it in 90. And we catch ourselves all the time going, that's an issue, right? You just say issue in a room and somebody will stop, go into 90, enter the issue. We have actually 3 layers of this. So the leadership team meets once a week, the management team once a week, and the entire company meets once a month. So everybody in the company is involved in an L10 meeting at least once a month.
Okay.
But that L10 at level 10, Doug, our last 2 leadership meetings scored a perfect 10.
Yay, David.
Yeah, yeah. So you're really rating it each time, and then what do I got to do to get from a 9 to a 10? And sometimes it's start on time, end on time, is, you know, don't go long or that sort of stuff. But yeah.
It's good.
Thank
Thanks
you
for the
for
peek,
sharing
David. And just give you an idea, guys, that's $12 a month per active user.
that.
And usually you need
It's
2 or, you know,
cheap.
3 or 4 leaders need to have a login, and then you start parsing it down through the managers. Not a lot of
And
money.
it's
Not a lot of money.
everything in EOS, everything in the book is baked in. The accountability chart, everything's there. It just makes it so easy to launch and go with this thing. So
Matthew asked about cloud integration with Google Drive or G Suite. Yes, you can do attachments and you can link out, and you can actually open windows and share documents from within the 90 as sort of like a portal or a viewer. You know, it's not a file system, but every initiative, every rock, every to-do could have attachments. And I kick everybody to use milestones. You get things done when you have 3 milestones, right, David?
right, yeah,
Right.
mm-hmm.
Works.
Yeah, and we're using milestones.
Really powerful.
You know, we're an IT company, so we have a ticketing system, really powerful. So it cost me thousands of dollars for this ticketing system. And the guys get, well, why can't we move out of using 90 and use boards? And I'm like, yeah, you know, you're going to re-engineer all this stuff that's very specific to the way you can't use 90 with Rockefeller habits. You can only use 90 with the EOS. It's just super tailored to it. And there's a couple other software packages, but 90 works great.
Yeah, there's 2 authorized packages from EOS Worldwide. And I skipped over it in my little resource thing. If you want to download the tools, watch some videos and do things to learn about what I teach, go to eosworldwide.com. Run it all together, eosworldwide.com. And you'll get the whole EOS story there. And I am among 350 people around the world who are trained, authorized professional implementers. And then some like Dave and his team work with me for about a year, and then they're off on their own running it. This is not a consulting model. I don't tap into people and try to keep a revenue stream going. This is all about getting the team up and running, and you run.